Wow, that's all I gotta say. Well, hello, my friends. I, Brian Redgrave, have been gone for a little bit when it comes to reviewing these. The last one I did was Money in the Bank. I did watch SummerSlam, I just didn't do a review. I didn't get to it, so here I am. Just so you know, I thought SummerSlam was great. But we're not here to talk about SummerSlam. We're here to talk about Clash at the Castle, which was the first premium live event, blah blah, pay-per-view in, well, the United Kingdom, I believe, since SummerSlam 1992. They said, I believe, is what they mentioned. That's a long time. It's a long time not to have a pay-per-view there. And what's the pay-per-view that came out after all these years? They're worth it. Oh, absolutely. Clash at the Castle, in many ways, really just kind of stole the fucking show here. Because to be honest with you, it was just kind of banger after banger for the most part here. Like, really solid stuff. It must be said that everybody in this pay-per-view, in this card, honestly, I think everybody played their part very well, because I don't necessarily think there was a bad match in here. Now, to be fair, I did not watch the kickoff. I was not even aware that Clash at the Castle was at 1 p.m. And if you don't know this about me, I get off of work at 1 p.m. I realized it around 12:50. I realized that the kickoff was going. I was like, oh my God, wait a minute. I'm missing Clash at the Castle. I better hurry before it officially starts. So I just booked it out of work right there. I'm like, I'm leaving 10 minutes earlier. And I made it right as the first match was starting. So I did not watch the kickoff. Sorry, I'm not going to talk about the kickoff. But honestly, the very first official match was Bianca, Asuka, Alexa Bliss versus Bayley and her team, Io Shirai and Dakota Kai. And honestly, that was a fun 3-on-3 match. 3-on-3 matches are very good most of the time. They're kind of fun. I think fun is the correct term. And it was just kind of back and forth. There was nothing special in the match per se or anything like that. But it was definitely just a fun 3-on-3 match in which Bayley's team won, which was absolutely the way to go. This is how you build momentum when you have a new faction. Something that WWE doesn't seem to understand when it comes to another certain faction, which we will get to in just a little bit. So, yeah, that match was pretty good. Bayley got the win, as she should. But yeah, it was a fun match. Bayley pinned Bianca, so obviously Bianca versus Bayley is going to be the end, at least of this. The roadmap leads to that right now. And I actually would be totally on board with Bayley fucking, not fucking anybody, but beating up Bianca Belair. I'd be okay with that. I mean, I like Bianca. I love Bayley. And Bayley's last reign was definitely spectacular. One of the best women reigns in a long time. So whether that comes now, sooner rather than later, I'm not too much in a rush for that to happen. But it definitely needs to happen at some point. So, very first solid match. Now, it was really the second match after this, not counting the kickoff, which was Gunther versus Sheamus. Fella! And what a fucking damn brutal fight it was. This was not your typical wrestling, let's do this arm bar and let's do this and let's be technical and let's do submissions. So yeah, there was like a Boston Crab and stuff like that, but this was just a fight, and I loved every minute of it. And if I'm going to be 100% honest with you, there is one match in this entire pay-per-view that you have to watch. It has to be Gunther versus Sheamus for the Intercontinental Championship. I mean, the moment this started, it was bananas. So, and it's not because they did something like insane, but it's because something that they did that was so cool. So Sheamus comes out with his little squad of goons, his two goons. And then Gunther comes out with his two goons, which one of them, somebody said, I guess it was a big deal. I didn't watch Gunther in NXT UK or any of that back when he was Walter or any of that. But yeah, so he had his two guys. And yeah, as soon as they're all in the ring, the Gunther's two goons versus Sheamus' two goons get into a brawl, start fighting, while Sheamus and Gunther have the stare down, which you can see in my screen. And just have to stare at as these two guys, these 2-on-2 guys, 4 guys, 2-on-2, are just brawling it out everywhere. And these guys do not move until the bell rings. And the crowd is already going bananas, cheering, applauding. And that must also be said, the crowd in this card, in this pay-per-view, this crowd was one of the best crowds I've seen. I loved it. They loved it. They were into it. And when a crowd is into it, it makes the person at home be into it. Because it's all like, it all goes around, right? So it was fantastic crowd, and the crowd was electric for it. And as soon as the bell rang, boom, the brutality started. And the match early going was back and forth, but at one point Gunther was just demolishing Sheamus with pure destruction. Like, that was just fucking insane. I mean, if you look at Sheamus' chest, it is super, super red that it's like crazy. If you look at my screen, you'll see it for a few seconds. It was insane. Those chops that Sheamus was taking were just ouch. Just ouch. The match is just pure action, non-stop. It just, and the story it told was like, really, like, neither guy wanted to go down. Sheamus wanted that title. Gunther wanted to retain. I mean, these types of matches make the mid-card titles feel relevant. I mean, this did not feel like a mid-card match. This felt fantastic. This felt great. This could have been a main event. It was just excellent all around. And I must say, but good job to the both of them. Good job to the crowd. Good job to everybody involved. Eventually, Gunther was going for the power bomb. He hit, I believe it was 2 power bombs, and Sheamus would not go down. So there's Gunther with that fucking clothesline, just nearly killed Sheamus. Like, the clothesline looked so devastating that I was like, yeah, he's dead now. He's definitely not getting up. So yeah, it was definitely an excellent match. A 5 out of 5, a 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100, A+, whatever you want to give it, whatever's your perfect score. The Heavy Metal Horns were awesome. This was that. If there's just one match you want to watch, I usually do this. Like, what's the one match you should watch? This, in my opinion, is it. Not to say that nothing else is good, but just this was on another level, in my opinion. What came afterwards was Liv Morgan versus Shayna Baszler, which was fine. It's nothing particularly was bad, but like the crowd was a little bit more dead for this one. And it's not because the match itself was bad. I think it was more of we just spent all of our energy in Gunther versus Sheamus. So yeah. Oh, and before that, at one point the crowd started chanting Walter, and Michael Cole said that the crowd was remembering Gunther's past. I like that. Let's not pretend that these previous names did not exist. Please, we're not idiots. So yeah, so the crowd was a little bit more dead for Liv and Shayna. This match was a little confusing to me because for one, I struggle with what do I want. I love Liv Morgan, and I'm happy she's champion. Not too happy with the way she's been booked. She's been booked as a weak champion for the most part. I'm not a fan of that, especially a babyface. But then it's like, Shayna's back. We're getting the Shayna she always should have been. Not the one Vince gave us. The one Triple H gave us. NXT Shayna. So I was torn. What do I want? And as I watched the match, though, I was a little conflicted because of what I wanted. I'm watching the match and I'm like, how should this play out? Should Shayna destroy Liv? No, I don't want that. But how does Liv believably, win the way she's been presented? It was kind of weird. in the end, Liv Morgan won, and she won clean, and it just ended. She hit the Oblivion or whatever her finisher's called, and it was just over. And I was like, okay, like she won clean. It was a little confusing. It really was because it's like I'm complaining about her being booked poorly, and because she didn't beat Ronda, clean. She technically tapped out, but then she beat Shayna clean. So I'm like torn. Is this good? Is this bad? What does this mean for Shayna? This is good for Liv, but what does it mean for Shayna? I don't know. I'm like torn here. But it was nothing. The match wasn't bad. It was decent. Would be the word I would use. It wasn't sensational. It wasn't fire, but it wasn't garbage or crap. It was decent. It was a decent fight wrestling match in between. But outside of that, not much to talk about. I mean, it was just fine. I'm glad Liv got a clean victory over somebody like Shayna. But how does Shayna recover from having lost clean to somebody like Liv? Again, because of the way Liv has been portrayed, not because Liv Morgan is like trash or something. I like Liv Morgan. So yeah, is this the end of this feud, or is she gonna go back to wrestling Ronda, or does Shayna and Ronda team up? I don't know what the future is here, but as of right now, glad Liv is still champion, and I'm curious for what's next for Shayna. Then next we got something that really at this point just frustrates the hell out of me. So then we had Rey Mysterio and Edge versus the Judgment Day. But so like I have had mixed feelings about the Judgment Day from the moment they turned on Edge. It just everything from there forward has made little sense to me. Turning on Edge made no sense. Finn Balor becoming the new leader, despite them whooping his ass, made no sense. I feel like the group's been on a downhill since then. But whatever. Let's forget about that. We get here, and it's like the match itself was really good. It was really fun. It was really entertaining with some cool spots. Like literally at one point, Rhea Ripley had Dominic in her arms. Ray jumped down. She fell back with Dominic on top, on the outside. Like the match itself was fun and really good match. A really good, solid tag team match. The problem here is the booking itself of the match results, because Edge and Rey Mysterio beat the Judgment Day. Let's not forget the Mysterios beat the Judgment Day at SummerSlam as well. I don't understand. It's like throughout the weeks we built the Judgment Day like they're supposed to be a threat, but the moment of big matches, they can't seem to win. And that really bothers me. So the Judgment Day loses to Rey and Edge. Throughout the match, Dominic was helping his dad and Edge to win. At one point, Finn Balor was going to close it out with a coup de grace on Edge, and I believe it was Edge on Rey. I think it was on Edge. And then Dominic distracts the ref, and Rey Mysterio is able to help Edge. So, like, throughout the match, Dominic is helping his dad to beat the Judgment Day. So, it made no sense to me when the match ends and freaking Dominic hits Edge right on the dick. I'm just going to say it. And then he clotheslined his father with a vicious looking clothesline, might I say. So here's the thing. I do not have a problem with the heel turn. The heel turn has been badly needed. Dominic needs something to do besides being on Rey's side. And if he comes out on Raw this Monday, SmackDown, NXT, whatever, saying that he couldn't live under his shadow, under his dad's shadow, is understandable, because that is exactly what has been happening for the past 2 years. Dominic's debut started off good with the match with Seth, but man, like everything then, he just cannot get away from Rey. Everything's Rey. So the heel turn was needed, makes sense. But why did he help his dad and Edge beat the Judgment Day if he's just gonna turn on his dad and Edge at the end of it all? Why? And then the Judgment Day's laughing all three of them, like they just won something. You guys just lost the match, and you laugh that the guy who helped the other team win turned heel, but he helped them. Should he have not helped you guys win if this was the end? Why did they Judgment Day need to lose yet again the same way they lost at SummerSlam? It was the same thing at SummerSlam. Why couldn't Edge have returned after they won to give him a definite win? Here they lose again. It was the same thing. They lose, and we're supposed to take them seriously. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm happy that Dominic turned heel. The crowd was bananas for it. They were cheering, booing, They were in shock. A lot of the crowd seemed shocked. And I want to say it was done this way to make it less predictable because I expected the heel turn during the match. And when it didn't happen, I was like, oh, okay. I guess we're not doing that. Though it seems suspicious the way Dominic was just staring at Edge for the longest of times. I'm like, is he turning heel? And he did. So maybe it was just done to throw people off. And if that was the case, it somewhat worked. But then again, when you look at it, I was like, I was just left in confusion. And if he just joins the Judgment Day, the first thing I would ask is, why didn't you help us win? You don't want to join it, but you didn't help us win. You helped them win to then turn on them. It just isn't logical. That BS aside, the match itself was fun. It was good. It was back and forth. Everybody played their part. Everybody had their moment to shine. Everybody had action. Edge did a 619. That was all good and dandy. Match was good, but that ending was good, but it made no sense. Just like turning on Edge made no sense. That's what the Judgment Day itself doesn't seem to make sense. But match itself gets an up. It was good, right? Let's just clear that out the way. So next up we had Matt Riddle, because he got his name back, Matt Riddle against Seth Rollins. And this was also a hell of a match. A war. I'm not sure I would say as good as Gunther and Sheamus. I feel like that was match of the night, but definitely a really good, solid match. Believable that they hate each other as they're fighting. I feel like Seth Rollins won here. He won with two curb stomp, a regular curb stomp, and then he got another curb stomp from the middle rope. So we're gonna call that the super curb stomp. I remember when they used to call it the blackout, and he won. I was a little torn on this because I was a little torn on that decision for a simple reason, and that's that from a storyline perspective, it feels like Riddle should have won this match. That's how it feels like. So when Rollins won, like the heel wins, a part of me felt like, man, like Riddle really needed this victory. Like he really needed this. The feud called for it. I think he himself calls for it. But at the same time, as I thought about it, I'm like, when's the last time Rollins has really earned the victory? I mean, the poor man lost to Roman. He lost to Cody Rhodes 3 consecutive times. So I feel like when you think about it, he also needed this victory. So then I understand that Rollins needed to win. But if that's the case, there needs to be a second match. This feud cannot be over yet. And the next match needs to be no disqualification. Next month is Extreme Rules. This match needs to be Extreme Rules or some sort of stipulation. This cannot be a normal match again. This needs to be Extreme Rules, a table match, fucking something. So last man standing. It needs to be something brutal. And something was like, man, like this guy really wants to kill Rollins. And then it'll all be good. It's fine. Rollins won here. He needed it. He needs a victory. He's lost too much also. But there needs to be a second match, and Riddle needs to win the second match. But the match itself was definitely really, really good. Really, really solid. Really just back and forth. Man, a lot of kickouts from pedigrees and stuff like that. At one point, he hit Riddle with his own finisher. At one point, Rollins did the Randy Orton DDT. He did the pose, going for the RKO. He didn't nail it though, but it was a lot of fun. It was a really good, solid, entertaining match. Definitely, probably the top three matches of the night. Yeah, so it was a great match. That's what I'm trying to say. But the little ending just had me conflicted, but I accepted. Rollins needs a victory, especially after losing to Cody 3 consecutive times. He needed this. So, and not having a match at SummerSlam as well. It's Seth freaking Rollins. It's in his name, freaking Rollins. So yeah, great match though. Great match. Like there really wasn't something in here that was bad. So next up is the main event. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. We've seen this match before at Survivor Series 2020. I saw this match live back in April when they were here. Here we go again. So let's start from the beginning. Drew McIntyre's Broken Dream song starts to play, and they show footage from him back in the day. Even not WWE stuff, but like before his Chosen One stuff. And that was great. Broken Dreams is playing. I'm pumped. I'm excited. I'm like, oh yeah. Even if he loses, we got the song back. It was a really good video. And then the song and video ended, and we went back to his normal theme. So I was like, like, why did we just do this? I was like, no, come on, like. He needed to come out to that song. Crowd was bonkers, bananas, in love with Drew, rightfully so, hometown. And Roman came out, no Paul Heyman still, no Usos. Suspicious stuff. 101 Roman, you don't get that very often. And when you do, well, he does stuff like when he wrestled Rollins, got himself disqualified. So, the match itself was great. It was fire. It was started off a little slow, but it picked up. And it was just back and forth. And I noticed that, there's the Superman punch. There's that clothesline that he does. There's a spear. There's a kick out. There's a spear. There's a kick out. And I'm like, man, like, Drew McIntyre's not done the Claymore. Does this mean that when he hits it, it's over? So, it is what it is. Matches back and forth. At one point, Roman was dominating. At one point, Drew McIntyre was dominating. Yeah, it was some crazy stuff. So, at one point, though, I have to bring this up. Theory came out when both men were down. Ready to cash in. Poor Theory can't. He feels like a loser. He really just feels like a loser at this point. Comes out. He's about to cash in. Tyson Fury, who's in the crowd, punches the living life out of Theory. Theory's knocked out. Never got to cash in. I'm not sure if this was a good thing or a bad thing, but it was definitely a funny thing. It was definitely entertaining, funny stuff. So, yeah, then he was out the picture. That one KO just knocked out Theory out the picture completely. He said, fuck this. So, yeah, so then Drew McIntyre hit Roman with a spear on the outside, got him inside, and hit him with the Claymore. And I'm like, this is the moment right here. He did it. 1, 2, and he didn't do it. I was like, but why? That was it. I really thought he was going to pull it off. But I was wrong. and then the thing is that there was another Claymore. This one he hit from Roman's back, from the back of the head, knocked out Charles Robinson, right? And that's when the whole other referee with Theory came out, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, the match itself was really good and really, really fun and really great. And it was, but the ending, it's like, I predicted it a few days ago. And I understand why they did it. And in a way, it's good. But in a way, it felt like it ruined the match. Because Roman Reigns didn't beat Drew clean. Now, granted, that's a way of protecting Drew in his hometown. But still, what I'm gonna call the third Uso, Solo Sikoa, or whatever his name is from NXT, the other third brother, the other cousin of Roman, showed up and helped Roman retain. It's understandable, and in a way it's good because the bloodline will be stronger, and now he can. Oh, I highly doubt he's gonna get the Intercontinental Championship of Gunther, but maybe he can get an IC belt or US title belt at some point, and the bloodline can keep on carrying gold. Or maybe the guy wins both belts, and all the belts are under the bloodline. Both tag titles, both world titles, both mid-card belts. But a long time from now, because Gunther ain't losing anytime soon. I can guarantee you that. Or maybe that doesn't even happen. But yeah, it was predictable, and it was obvious. Especially again, Roman, no Heyman, no Usos. Yeah, I was like, yeah, this is suspicious. He's not gonna win on the clean. I was really thinking either distraction or some BS ending, or Drew really does take it home here. And part of me really thought Drew takes it home here. But that ending just kind of deflated me right there. It just deflated my energy. I was jumping, excited. Wrestling, it's rare when I'm like, I don't know who's going to win. I don't know who's going to win. And this was one of those that it got me there. But then that ending just comes and it's like, it makes sense. I understand that. But at the same time, my damn frustration as to like, what? Whatever. Roman retains thanks to his cousin. Drew lost. Match ended. Drew still kind of celebrated. Not the fact that he didn't win, but with his hometown being happy to be there. Tyson Fury got in there. They started singing nonsense. It was cool to see. But yeah, it was a great pay-per-view. There really wasn't, I didn't watch the kick, but it really wasn't a bad match. Like, even like I said, the Liv and Shayna stuff was fine. It wasn't bad. It was fine. But the 3-on-3 match was fun. It was good, entertaining. The main event was great, but the main event, the ending kind of deflated me there. But the match itself was great. The tag team match was great. But again, the endings were kind of deflated me because it was great, but it didn't need to happen then. Rollins and Riddle was fantastic, but also the ending had me questioning should Riddle have won, but it makes sense why Rollins won. Theory getting knocked out was funny, will always be funny. Gunther and Sheamus, though, fantastic, just solid, awesome wrestling. A great pay-per-view overall when it comes to terms of quality matches. Clash at the Castle was fantastic.